What jobs did you have that you fucking went in there and go, what the fuck is my life?
I was a busboy and a paper boy and a waiter and a dishwasher, all those, jobs. 70s, entry level, you're 16, 15, that's what you get. No one's going to make you a bookkeeper or anything. And my striving for excellence was not exactly at the forefront of my mind. And then I delivered pizza for a while for a guy who sold meth in Burlingame. And he was a ex-con, jarhead, and his mother worked there. Did I tell you this one last time?
I don't think so.
Burlingame, Vermont?
Burlingame, California, on the peninsula.
Okay.
I'm from San Carlos, which is a tiny white little place 30 miles south of San Francisco. And Burlingame's about halfway up toward the city. And see, I'm from San Francisco. You're from New York. In the West Coast, the city is San Francisco. And in New York, people go, "You mean New York?" And I'm like, "No, I mean the city, the other city." Yeah. That's how parochial we are. We think there's one city. And anyways, yeah. So I looked at an ad in a paper. You remember when you looked at the want ads, and it said, "Driver wanted, must have car W/INS. Apply, Pizza Man, Chicken Delight, Burlingame." And so I went down. And he was there. He had a little goatee, a complexion like his face had been aflame and someone put it out with a bicycle chain, like.
Now, how old were you at this time?
18, 19,
okay.
Like just skating, right? No fucking direction. I'd been an actor. I'd done a little comedy. I did stuff in high school, and I was going to junior college, but, I didn't know I think at that point I wanted to be a DJ, which was a career in 1979 or whatever. And, so nothing was going on. I had long hair. I had a Mickey Mouse shirt, I remember. Giant Elton John glasses. And so I walk into the place and he goes, you get Proops. What's your name? Proops. Proops. What, you got a car? Yeah. All right, come back at 4. That was it, right? That was the whole interview. It's $1. It's $1 a run. That was a big deal, right? And you get all the tips. So I came back and they had a map on the wall. This is the old days of the whole area where the pizza deliveries took place. And there were pins in it, which I thought was hilarious, like Churchill. It's like the war room, like we're a strategic pizza strike on Millbrae Avenue or whatever. And I did a bunch of deliveries the first night. Driving around, I had a Chevy Vega with a cassette deck.
I love the Chevy Vega.
Remember the Chevy Vega?
Fuck
yeah. It was a hatchback because you could keep the
Two-door
pizzas in the back.
hatchback.
You put the pizzas in the back. And they give you a little crappy styrofoam oven to put them in. And I listened to KSOL or KDIA, which were the soul stations, and smoked cools and rode around. Some people ordered the same thing every night. Like there was a lady, and you had to stop and get her Pall Malls and milk and shit. And then you go to... so I finished the first night, and I get back, and he goes, "Hey, you did pretty good. You made like 30 pizza runs or whatever." And he goes, "You smoke weed?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Really? Because I deal weed." So, of course, the money I've made the first night.
Weed.
Yeah. And then he, of course, reveals eventually, within a day or two, that he is a speed dealer. Of course, in those days, we called it crank. We didn't call it meth. And so I worked for him for a few months, and I didn't deliver meth for him. But I would sometimes have to go to deliver pizzas to his dealer's house, and those were always free, right? And sometimes the dealer would come in, and he drove a black Trans Am with a giant eagle on the front, right? And he had the wasted girlfriend with the bell bottoms and the short rabbit fur jacket. And he wore a leather vest and a Civil War hat and no shirt, right? And an iron cross. And, yeah.
Real undercover.
Fucking...
At a pizza chicken delight.
So you come in the afternoon, and I don't know if you've ever, you'd hear him upstairs. You'd hear... right? When I'd walk in, ding, ding, the door, and he'd go, "Proops!" Right? Because you could hear the door open. Fold some fucking boxes. That was the worst job, right? When you were doing nothing, when you were waiting to make a delivery, you had to fold pizza boxes. And then finally, the delivery started about, 4:35. But you got to get there at 4, in case somebody ordered a fucking pizza at 4. So at the end of the night, there was these two little kids who put the... Is this getting long and boring?
No. This is what
these two little kids.
I want this shit.
This is a job when you're a teenager, right? Like, people said to me, you're thrown into the world and expected to, like, be an adult. I had a car. I had to pay insurance. I was living at home. My dad said, get the fuck out and get a job. So I took the first fucking thing that I saw and the first thing I got. So anyway, these two little kids would come in, and they're about 8 and 10. And they would ride up in their Stingrays and chuck them in the alley. And they'd come in and they'd put the chicken in milk, and they'd have to bread it and everything. Lonnie cut it, right? Like there was a bandsaw that cut chicken. Chicken came in a giant crate like a Chinese restaurant, right? With the chickens on ice. And then and he would slice them with this saw, which was murder, right? And he was janked on speed all the time. So his mood varied between Hitler and like Satan on a bad weekend. Like, you know, he was very rarely jovial. He was grumpy. And they would bread the chicken, and he paid them in weed. They were little kids, right? They took weed for their pay. So after hours, we'd go in the back room, the chicken room. And I've described it before as it was so much like a horror show that it should have been in black and white, right? Like there's chickens in a thing, and there's a garbage can full of chickens and, you know, old pizzas. And there was 2 records he owned. Rod Stewart's Night on the Town and James Brown's Greatest Hits on some obscure, you know, bootleg. And we would put those on, and then we'd all smoke weed and dance around. His sister worked there, his mother, his sister's jacked up boyfriend, the 2 little kids. And
I'm still freaked out about the 2 8 and 10-year-old who were butchering what were they? They were butchering the
chickens. Yeah, they didn't have to run the saw, mind you. They just had to put it in the milk and let it soak, and then put it in the breading, and then take it out and put it in the fridge. And that was their job. And I don't know that they received money or that they convinced their parents. Maybe they were bringing home $10 or whatever, but they were definitely getting bags of weed. So they were the coolest kids, I'm sure, at their high school or, you know, grade school.
Yeah, in their 5th grade class.
And right, in 5th grade in Burlingame. And we would dance to James Brown and shit. And then he's handing me a joint, Lonnie. And Bobby, the sister's boyfriend, comes up and goes, did he hand you a joint? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, don't hit on his man because he smokes angel dust, right? Like he'd taken so much speed that he couldn't really get high. Like we would just smoke a joint, right, you know what I mean? We smoke a joint, we get high, and then we're like, we're high.
Right.
He had to go the extra mile to smoke PCP, right? Horse tranquilizer, as it was.
Yeah, that was what was popular.
And
biscuits.
So I was like, oh, forewarned is forearmed, right? Like, thank you for telling me that he's smoking fucking angel dust, because I got to get back in my car and go to my.
He didn't tell you? You were 19, he just handled you?
Uh-huh.
That seems a little bit...
Dude, he'd been in the joint. He had a Marine tattoo. He had other crudely etched tattoos that I assume were done.
Going in like fucking Marines, you understand me?
Welcome to church, motherfucker.